The window. All right, I see the recording. Welcome to Coming Out with Cannabis with your host, Christina D'Arcangelo Pooler and Wayne Kelly. Today, we're talking to Diana Smith. She is the co-founder of Integrative Healing Magazine from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Looking forward to this. I appreciate our pre-conversation talk, but first, CDP!
Good morning, everyone. Today is a sorry day. I wore sorry from one of my dear friends who passed away earlier this year at age 42. And in her honor, I just felt like I needed some of her with me today, especially since we're talking to Diana about energies, holistic health, pathways, mind, body, and spirit. I thought, in honor of you, I will wear this today. Because as I'm sure you've seen on all of our other podcast episodes, usually I kick it pretty natural with t-shirts and, whatever, but this was for you today with intention. So thank you so much, Diana, for joining us today. We're so very pleased to have you.
Oh, thank you, Christina, Wayne. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm excited to have this conversation with you guys.
Hey, we're just going to, but first, Alexa, remind me in 15 minutes to wrap it up. And Diana, we just want you to hit the ball out of the park here. Tell us a little bit about the magazine. You mentioned a couple things that you want to talk about today. Your podcast. Let's get to it. I'm fascinated with and obviously I didn't know anything about the energy thing. I just went with Bazinga, and because it's a Bazinga kind of day. So Diana.
Fantastic.
Very nice. Well, as long as we're talking about what we're wearing, I'm wearing my Love Our Oceans t-shirt.
Great.
Yeah, I'm as passionate about our earth as I am about our bodies. So keeping plastic, recycling, stuff like that's another one of my passions. But what I've started recently is a magazine called Integrative Healing. And I started that with my publisher, Carla Mader. And our first issue just came out, our sample issue. And Integrative Healing Magazine is about the integration of holistic medicine and Western medicine. It's about empowering people so they can be in control of their own health. It's about giving people choices and letting them know that there are choices in their health and in healthcare. Which is why I so much wanted to come on, coming out with cannabis with you guys, because plant medicine is part of the holistic approach, and cannabis being a plant kind of makes sense. If I can heal myself with oregano, I can heal myself with cannabis.
Yes.
So I really wanted to bring the information about the holistic healing to people, so to mainstream people who've never heard of it. There are lots of people who have heard about massage and chiropractic and homeopathy and things like that, but not everybody has. And I also wanted this magazine to be there for information for doctors also, so that they can see that they have other choices besides just pharmaceuticals to offer to their patients. Yeah. So it's really an educational magazine for patients and physicians, and to start integrating our healthcare. So we have acupuncturists and we have homeopathists and people like that, and chiropractors. I can't tell you. I'm actually a licensed massage therapist as one of my many careers, and people would come to me and they're like, oh, I've been to my doctor and he gave me a steroid shot, and then he sent me to physical therapy, and I've been there for 6 months, and I work on them for 1 hour, do trigger point therapy on them, and they're like, holy crap, my back feels great. I know. I know. You've been to the doctor. You've been to the doctor and he didn't help you. There are other ways.
Here's some opiates for your pain. But you understand chakra alignment, which I think is important to bring up on the call or on our session today, because we had a call earlier for our prep. So I apologize for that misstep there. But you understand, which I love the elements of the chakra and understanding, like, when your stomach is hurting, say from a GI standpoint, it's a root chakra issue. When you're angry, the anger deposits in your liver and sits there. So I would love to talk a little bit about that with you as well, if that's okay, because I think that this is nice to have a holistic discussion for our viewers. They are hearing a lot of different things coming in, that we're talking about.
Well, the emotions and how they affect the body, so it works both ways. When you have an emotion, you then have a corresponding physiological response. And also a physiological event can also have a corresponding emotional response. So when we talk about meditation when you talk about the chakras and you talk about the corresponding emotion to where the pain is in the body, you can talk about chakras, and you can also talk about the meridian system,
right?
Which is a really interesting system that connects, that corresponds with all the organs in the body. So you can have a pain or a mole or a mark along that meridian pathway, and that'll let you know that not only has a corresponding emotion that goes with it, it also corresponds to a specific organ. So you could have a pain, let's say somewhere here, and that is your liver. I actually had a mole come out on my face right here, and this is a junction between the small intestine and the large intestine, and I had a mole come out on my face here, and it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I went to a naturopathic doctor. I had an hour and a half long discussion with her about all of my signs and symptoms. She gave me a product called Wobezyme, which is an enzyme that they use in Germany for cancer and other types of things. It was specifically for my pancreas. I took that over 6 months. That mole went away.
Wow.
Went away. So this is a physical representation of something that's going on internally in my body based on a meridian system that's 3,000 years old.
Right.
Yet modern Western medicine says they know everything.
Right. And that's like, with disease states like cancer, autoimmunes, strokes, heart attacks, cardiovascular issues. Many times, all of these things, besides you not eating properly, say, and exercising, it's emotional.
Check.
Yeah. Yes. And emotions create patterns. The reason that you have, these emotions, some of what we're doing is we're suppressing our emotions. We're not dealing with our emotions, and then we misinterpret our emotions, and we misinterpret our body also. Yep. So there's two ways to do that. You can I've heard many people start to misinterpret their body. They're like, I have this pain here. It must be that I'm sad, and I'm like, well, that's where your liver is. So could be your liver.
Anger.
But we do need to deal with our emotions because they create patterns of behavior. Right. Add bad eating habits, smoking, addiction. That's all suppressed emotion. It's all suppressed emotion.
Lethargicness, not having the energy because you're feeling depressed. I mean, it's almost like we're having a mini session with you right now, because you do sessions like this for people where you're teaching them, okay, guys, right? We talked about this, but and so it's awesome that we're talking about this so that the viewers can see that when you do your sessions, when you come down, especially to Harrisburg, say, because that's closer to you, and I come up, we would love to do something. I would love to do a holistic, because I had this I don't think a lot of people know this about me. I know you guys do, but I had a wellness spa called Mindful Body and Soul. I started it in 2013. I faded out of it in about 2017, Wayne, 2017, 2018. I started to fade out because when I moved to the other office location, I had a loft office then. But I had all of these wonderful people, Reiki masters, craniosacral, yoga, all of these different things that we had modality wise. And the only reason why I pulled out of it was because I got so involved in cannabis and advocacy and research. I had to continue on that pathway. So all the things you're telling me sound so much like what my staff used to tell me. And that's why I'm so comfortable having this discussion, which I love. People get to see that side of us that they don't, we're corporate people most of the time, but we're just regular people at the end of the day. And thanks to you for coming on to our show today, because being able to talk about naturopathic, homeopathic, mind, body, spirit, all the wonderful things that you're doing to help people folds right in with what we believe in.
Hey,
Right.
I got a question, if that's okay. I'm a gardener, and you said early on you can heal yourself with garlic. Tell me what I should be planting. It's that time of season. If people are listening and they're a gardener, what should they be planting?
Definitely garlic. Garlic all the way. Well, garlic, actually, you can't plant garlic right now. You have to plant garlic in the fall
Right.
because it's a bulb. And so, but garlic is great. Garlic can kill staph infection on the skin. Garlic can help control candida overgrowth. And you want to get organic garlic. A lot of the garlic that comes from China has been adulterated or irradiated. It's been kind of cooked almost. It's been irradiated, and so it kills the medicinal benefit or whatever. It cooks it basically. Dead.
The Persian culture, which I'm very familiar with. I don't think the viewers know this, or you, Diana, but poor Wayne has heard this several times. I have adopted Persian parents on the West Coast.
Okay.
And I say adopted because when I first moved out there was a gentleman that was my dad's age that worked with me at the first biotech I worked at on the West Coast. And they folded me into their family, and I just love them. Lily's a homeopathic and nutritionist. That's who we go to. My family is Lily. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is the Persians, they jar their garlic with balsamic vinegar, and they let it sit for 7 months or so, maybe longer.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
So don't quote me on that part. I can't. But they eat it for the holistic benefits. The lung issues people have sometimes, garlic can help with that too. And so they have it. Literally, and I'm going to hook you up with Lily, Diana, because I think you'll have a lovely conversation, and perhaps she'll want to be in your magazine because she is a homeopathic. She's lived all over the world, and she's treated so many people with cancer. She's amazing. But all these things I've learned from them and what you're talking about, it just all clicks. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, Wayne, the if you want to go with some really good herbs, rosemary. Yeah. Basil, oregano. Rosemary is really good for kicking out a cold.
Lavender, right? For stress.
Lavender's good for stress. It's interesting. Lavender is one of those oils where if you use a little bit of it, it's good for stress. But if you use a lot of it, it'll overstimulate you. It actually acts like a stimulant instead of a sedative. So lavender's excellent, though. Lavender is really good for the summer for if you have a suntan, if you have a sunburn. Lavender is great for healing the skin, especially after burns. Yeah. So I would take my kids, they would get sunburned, and I'd put them in the tub in some cool water and drop a couple drops of lavender essential oil in there. And the next day they're like, or a really bad burn, like if they get it on the shoulders, I just put it in a bowl of cold water and make on a towel and just keep like a cold compress with the lavender oil and water. And they don't takes care of the burn. Yeah, lavender's great for that.
And the other thing to bring up about holistic health, and especially when you have a homeopathic, if you use too many essential oils and you take a remedy, because I take a remedy for allergies and all this stuff, I can titrate my homeopathic remedy out of my body if I have too much exposure with essential oils.
Yeah, especially peppermint.
Lily's taught me that. So I have to be very aware, of that. And even candles I burn in my house. Wayne's never noticed this, and in the office, I can't. I have to be careful, because if I've taken my remedy, and even going through x-ray machines, in the airport. Patients should know this because I didn't know this. I learned. So if you go through an X-ray machine through security, your remedy titrates out of you.
Oh.
Lily taught me that. So whenever I travel, I have to make sure when I get home after traveling, I take my remedy immediately because it's come out of my system.
Right. Well, the nice thing about homeopathics is that they're non-toxic. You
Right?
know, you can't. Right. You get that balance.
I have a
It's all on your tongue. You know, my kids. I use
Arnica.
arnicle. I use a Mercurius vulcibilus. I think I said
Yeah.
that wrong. For my kids when they get a sore throat. Every year, beginning of school, my kids will get a sore throat within the first week, guaranteed. And it is. I mean, schools are a huge germ factory. Huge. I'd never been so sick as when I worked in a daycare. But yeah, sore throat, I give it to them. A couple of tablets under the tongue. They come back 20 minutes later, a couple of tablets under the tongue, and by the end of the day, their sore throat is gone. I mean, for me, proof is in the pudding. If I take a remedy and it works, then it works. If you take a remedy and it doesn't do anything, stop taking it.
Right. And the other thing for patients to understand, I think this is a good point, we better bring this up, is if they're taking a bunch of vitamins like milk thistle, thiamine, all these various things, because they have all these things wrong with them, and they're taking pharma products as well, they could have a drug-drug interaction with vitamins. I mean,
absolutely.
Here they're thinking, oh, I'm doing a good thing by taking vitamins. Yes, but if you oversaturate yourself with a bunch of vitamins, you can really, I mean, you could mess up your stomach line. There's a lot of things that could happen.
That's why I think that doctors really need to know more about plant medicine, homeopathics, all these different things, because it's all available out there, and people are trying it and they're using it and they're doing it. You know, as we were going to feature Heidi Weinhold in the Integrative Healing magazine, and she's a naturopathic doctor. She's the one that actually got rid of this mole thing on the side of my face. You know, I mean, I had been studying supplements and taking supplements and all kinds of things. And I was amazed at what I still didn't know.
Right.
Well, you know, and that you really do need experts, you know, we need medical doctors and naturopathic doctors to kind of come together.
Exactly.
I saw, you know, but what's also interesting, you have to think about patients. I saw a Facebook post in one of the cannabis pages, and the girl said she went to her doctor and was like, I still have this pain or whatever it was. And he was like, have you tried meditation? And she was pissed. She was pissed that she went to the doctor and he suggested meditation. But you've got to think, he's probably tried everything else. He's probably given her every other thing in his arsenal, you know? And some of that comes down to, well, what are you doing at home? You know?
Right. What is the triggers? Why are you so affected by it? And what we talk about even before we got on this call, and I know we've talked, Diana, about this, is that, and Wayne, pretty much every one of our guests, we always talk about, if you're taking medical cannabis or CBD, that's not your end all be all for your fixing of your problems.
Absolutely.
You have to take care of this, your body, you know, and exercise, meditate, you know, like even I shared on that TV interview I did on 420, Can We Talk 420 for water. It was on in New York. I talked to them about that day. I had to drive to New York. It was 3 hours each way. I drove by myself that day. My legs were flaring up that first thing in the morning. I said something to Wayne. I was very concerned. I was like, I don't know, because you know how it works. It just hits with especially overloads of stress. And so it hit me. So what I did was I got my son on the school bus. I drove to this bus stop because my legs were hurting really badly. Drove back around. Got out of my car, went upstairs in my room, turned on relaxation music, and I meditated quietly in my own space. And I was able to get my legs to feel better. I was able to get on the Cannabis call with my guys to talk about that. And I came up with a business idea for Cannabis because my mind was clear and receptive, and it allowed everything to come in.
Right. And not only that, your body started to relax also.
Exactly.
All the stress chemicals started to decrease.
Right.
The muscles started to relax.
Right.
Your brain waves started to slow down.
Right.
Yes. And that is the point of clarity
So
for
important.
you. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's one of the things I think from a patient standpoint, because you're an advocate just like we are for patients. I want to join forces with you also with APA, because I think if we have homeopathic related patients specifically in Pennsylvania, I'd like to reach out to you, just like when we have a doctor issue. Dr. Donner is our go-to for APA. We get on the team and help these patients, because that's one thing that we haven't, right, Wayne, we haven't built that aspect out. When it happens, we do have people to refer them to, but I would prefer it to stay local here with us in Pennsylvania, if you'd be up for it, and where we would just, would talk about, if I have patients that come and we know they need something like this, we pass them on to you and have you help them, because you can help them.
Yeah,
I might need the full treatment.
Me too. Wayne and I are going to have to go to Pittsburgh and sit in a field with you. I'm being dead serious. I'm not being a wise guy here, And see, I didn't curse, Bruce.
He's pretty happy, but I am getting because I had Alexa remind me. So let's
yeah,
Alexa,
I mean, there's so many things that patients need help with, and also we were talking about patient pricing real quick before we go.
Yeah, I'll help you wrap this up, Christine. Okay. So
thank you.
Yeah,
I'll go ahead.
Do you know what I'm going to ask?
No,
I just want you to
to
share where can they find the magazine? I mean, you got a preprint issue.
Yeah.
We
have a preprint issue. It's the magazine is on issuu.com, issuu.com, issuu.com. It is an online publishing website where you can take any publication and publish it online, and people can go there and look at it. We'll have the print issue out in a few weeks. Our distribution, wellness centers, hospitals, hopefully dispensaries. We're not sure if we'll be in dispensaries or not yet, but you can certainly, we also have our Facebook page, Integrative Healing. We post all kinds of information and articles about holistic healing, vitamin supplements, mind healing, stuff like that. There will be a podcast, Integrative Healing, where I will be, it's on Spreaker right now, but it'll also be on iTunes and YouTube and Spotify. Awesome. I'll be interviewing Sarah Macon about mindful eating. I'll be interviewing Dr. Weinhold about natural and holistic doctoring. You can also find me on a podcast I'm going to be starting on Friday called Money Mindset Matters. So it is about changing your thoughts and patterns and habits around debt and money. Yeah, it's going to be a 24 to 30 episode podcast because I actually take you through the Back to Black system that helps you to see where your patterns of debt are and how to change them. It also teaches you about personal finances. This is things that parents don't talk to us about, like how to actually sit down and keep track of how much money we spend. But also, when you're in debt for a while, whether it be 6 months or a year or 2 years, it starts to change how you think about money. It starts to change your decisions and your reactions. And it actually puts you in a place where you're operating from lack. And it keeps you in a debt cycle. So this Money Mindset Matters is a podcast about getting you out of that cycle and how to deal with it.
And where will that be posted, Diane?
That will be on Spreaker and YouTube and SoundCloud and wherever else I can get it out.
Okay.
Wherever else. So I have the podcast, I have the magazines, I do classes and workshops, but I also I'm also a lifelong cannabis advocate. It's a plant, it's medicine. There are a lot of benefits to it. So when medical marijuana came out in PA, I was like, yes, this is fantastic. But what I found was that the way that the system and the program was set up is that there were people who were kind of getting ripped off. that the system is kind of set up with the doctors like the wild, wild west.
Yes, there's no price control.
There's absolutely no price control, which is okay and not okay at the same time. The Department of Health is not in the business of telling doctors how to run their business.
Right.
Nor would I want the Department of Health telling me, as a licensed massage therapist, how to run my business, or how much to charge people, or what to offer them, or anything like that. So, makes sense. But being in some of the Facebook groups, I found that people were getting ripped off with these certification doctors. There were a lot of kind of things that, yes, they're allowed to do, but it's not necessary in the process. I mean, basically, you just go in, they check over your paperwork, make sure it's legit from a doctor, that you have an actual one of the 25 qualifying conditions, and then they kind of click on the computer and voila, you're done. Right. Most of these certifying doctors don't know anything about cannabis. So there's really no reason for them to be checking you and having more discussions and having you come in all the time. So what I wanted to do, I put together a list of questions for people to help them not get ripped off when they're going to get certified for their medical marijuana card. So I tell people, so you can find the list of doctors, all the certifying physicians in Pennsylvania, on the Department of Health website. They have a nice PDF, and it's divided by county. So you can go on there and you can...
Easy to follow.
Right, easy to follow. So a lot of doctors will have information on their website. I tell people, because there's some websites like where they have all the certifying physicians, or these groups, and some of them aren't being truthful about what they charge when the patient actually gets there. So I encourage people to don't necessarily go by what the website says about what they charge, because they're not necessarily putting all the information on there. But what you need to do is go ahead and call ahead before you go in and ask some questions. And the questions that I give people to ask are, what is the cost of the visit? Point blank. Is any of it covered by insurance? That's a possibility. It's unlikely, but it is a possibility at this point. You also want to know, how long is this certification good for? It should be good for a full year. You also want to know, do they require any follow-up visits within that year? And if they do, you should just hang up right then.
Right.
Because it's not required. A lot of the physicians out there do not require any follow-up visits.
Unless you need help as a patient.
Right, unless you need help as a patient. Also, you want to know, do they require any drug tests? You'll find that within the addiction community, for addiction specialists and also pain medicine specialists, some of them are requiring drug tests. This is not necessary whatsoever. And if they do require it, again, hang up, walk away. Just don't go there. It's an unnecessary expense. And sometimes they're charging it to your insurance company, and then the insurance company denies it. And
right.
You're stuck with the bill.
Right.
So again, just not necessary for getting your medical marijuana certification card. Also, what is your recertification price? So that if you do want to go back to that doctor in a year and get recertified, what's it going to cost you?
Right.
Some of the things I wanted to tell people, remember that the referring physician does not have to become your treating physician unless you choose it. Some doctors are asking for drug screens and follow-ups, and none of that is necessary for the process. And also keep in mind that doctors right now don't know very much about cannabis or the endocannabinoid system, and that's why dispensaries have trained medical professionals on site and available to consult with you, because they're much more knowledgeable about your cannabis. So
that's great stuff. Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure that's going to help a number of listeners. Yeah. Or, folks trying to decide if they want to try medical cannabis. Right.
Well, people who have decided they want to go get their card, and now they're at that next step, because a lot of people get lost in that next step of like, okay, well, where's the doctors? How much does it cost? And you want to let people know, right, who's legit, right?
Yeah, we do that for APA. When patients come, they ask us to help, and we help them. This is how you sign up. This is how you, blah, 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 blah. And we coach them throughout the process. And it's really easy because we're medical patients also. So we understand it firsthand, thank God. I think even though it's terrible that all of us are patients because we have something that needs to be fixed in the endocannabinoid system, at least we are able to share our experience and really truly help patients because we're patients. All of us are patients in this,
Right. Personal experience is really helpful right now because we don't have a lot of research medically about it.
We're working on it. We are
working on it. Yeah.
Hey, great conversation today. I want to talk to you more offline. Maybe not today, but at some point. Like I said, I'm a gardener. Let's make sure we connect. Yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah, great information.
Refer to you for your podcast. Like Andrew Serafini would be a good one.
Yeah.
He's a holistic health guy and has a lot of the same. Like he's even had he has a lot of things to discuss with you. So I will send an intro email and let him know that you guys should talk because I think there's some synergistic things. He owns a CBD company as well, him and his wife, and they're just fantastic. He's on our board for APA, but we do work with him through Bio as well, Bio Partners. And he was on episode 14 or 15 on coming out with cannabis. So you can check him out.
Nice.
I'm
a subscriber now, so
yes.
I will.
All right,
great. Check it out.
We want to thank you, Diana, and we look forward to having more conversations with you. Namaste.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate being on. It was a great conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you.